everyone, Zephyr here, and welcome back to The Sims 2. Today we are doing a speed build of a house on a lake. I'm not really sure why, but I had this strong urge for like the past week to build a house on a lake, and it would not go away. So here we are, building a house on a lake. I've talked about it in past speed builds, but I have this weird relationship when it comes to building things in the game. Like, some days I really feel like I need to build specifically for a specific town, or it doesn't make sense if I'm like just building for the sake of building. But then other days I get the urge to do something like this and just build for the sake of building. And I don't know, like sometimes I'm very like anti like only building for the sake of building, because I have this weird thing in my head that people will think that I'm only building in order to post on YouTube, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But there's a little voice inside my head going, "Oh, you're just, trying to make a YouTube video. You're not enjoying this." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, you like playing this game, you like building houses, and it's totally fine to share that." It probably doesn't make sense to, like, any of you, but that is the constant battle that's going on in my head, and it doesn't even make any sense. Like, I can build up a catalog of houses, have my little plastic box moment where I have, like, a bunch of houses for people to download, and, like, then if I need a house that I built in the future, I could go back on the catalog of builds I've done and just use the house. Like, that is actually like something useful when I'm building up a town or something. But for some reason in my head, I sometimes see it as a negative thing. Like, I've even said in the past speed builds, like, I don't want to build just for the sake of building. Like, why not? Like, you can play your game, like, however you want. I don't know. And my opinion on this will change over, like, the course of probably this video even. Like, I'm aware that doesn't make any sense, but whatever. We're building a house in The Sims 2. Hopefully you enjoy it. I think it turned out quite cute, so we got that going for us. This house is also available for you guys to download over on my Patreon. It's linked down below. It's always for free if you want to check that out. And that's literally another reason why, like, building just for the sake of building is not, like, useless. I mean, like, I'm sharing it and people are downloading it. Like, I don't know. And, like, I get in my head sometimes that's something you have to get used to when it comes to me, so you'll just have to deal with it if you choose to subscribe to my channel. Okay, I record these voiceovers in, like, multiple takes on, like, multiple different days because I have an attention span of a goldfish, and I just got back from work, and I'm convinced that I'm getting fired. Like, okay, let me be clear, this is probably 100% my anxiety talking, but let me rant for a second. So I was supposed to work at 5:30 in the morning today and leave at 2. It is now currently 12:20. I was asked to leave early. And while I was getting ready to leave early, because, like, one thing about me, like, I will always go home early if you ask me to go home early. So while I was getting ready, I overheard my manager saying that he wants to let more people go to my supervisor. And I'm like, okay, like, you just sent me home early and now you're talking about, like, letting people go. Like, and what he means by that is, like, they let people off because we weren't busy, like, they no longer work with us, right? And I'm thinking, okay, you sent me home early and now you're talking about, firing people. And I'm like, But the thing is, like, I was one of the openers today, and, like, if you're gonna let people go because it's slow, like, I mean, like, go home early, you're gonna ask, like, the first person who got there to leave, right? So it's 100% my anxiety talking, but I'm like, well, what if I'm fired? What do I do? And, like, the thing is, it wouldn't even be a big issue, because when I left my previous job, they were basically, like, begging me to stay. And I know if I were to be like, hey, do you guys want me to come back? They'd like, take me back in an instant. It's just my pride, I don't want to be fired. I take pride in my work. So, I don't know. It's definitely me being anxious. I don't think I'm getting fired. If I am, I'll let you guys know, because I talk about anything in these speed builds but the build. You guys should know that by now. And if this is your first video of mine, you'll soon figure out that I very rarely talk about the build. I've went on this tangent before, but, like, I can only talk about the, like, feng shui of the room, like, so much before I go absolutely insane. There's some simmers that can, like, talk about the build all day and like they're actually fun to listen to and enjoyable, I can't do that. I need to ramble about other things during my speed builds. It's pretty much like a form of like therapy at this point, so let me be, okay? If you don't like hearing me ramble and still want to watch my builds, there's like this fancy feature called the mute button, and like you can mute the video and like maybe play your own music or whatever, and enjoy the video that way. But I'm gonna be here rambling either way, so we're just gonna have to deal with that. And I talk about unhinged things on this channel. On one of my speed builds, I was talking about whether or not Oscar Wilde would watch me and my boyfriend woohoo, you know, like his spirit, his ghost that is supposedly in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Yeah, I was talking about whether or not I think he would stick around if we were at the hotel he supposedly haunts and watch us put on a show. Like, nothing is off limits in these speed builds, okay? And didn't have a specific family in mind for this house when I originally started building it, but as I started, you know, going through the process of creating this house, I kind of like had the vision of the family form in my head. So my first idea was that this house belongs to a former sailor, like maybe a captain. I kind of had the like stereotypical, like kind of like older sailor slash captain look in my head for the sim that owns this house, you know, like the like stereotypical sea captain look with the gray beard and the like hat with the anchor on it. Like, you know the vibe. That's the owner of this house. And he lives on the lake, so he can just kind of like remember his time at sea. And I'm imagining he is married to a writer. The writer wanted to live closer to the city just so they had more opportunities available to them. And I think the sailor wanted to live closer to the sea, so they kind of like compromised on this like semi-rural lake house. So my original idea for their child was that their child wants to grow up to become a farmer, and I was gonna give them a little plot of land for them to do some gardening in, and I do end up doing that. But then I had recorded this in 2 or 3 play sessions. In between the play sessions, I was taking a shower, and I had the most unhinged thought. I was like, what if this sim, like this child, like I'm imagining they're a teenager or whatever, just is really into plant sims. Like really, really into plant sims. And like their goal in life is to become a plant sim, and like it's a whole ordeal to the point where it's like borderline kind of creepy. I was like, what if the sim is like that? Because I was originally just gonna do like a nice little cottagecore room for them, right? But no, then I had that like unhinged thought and I couldn't get it out of my mind, and I was like, okay, so we're gonna have to do this. So the sim child teenager in this house is super into plant sims. And, like, I'm imagining when they grow up, they'll become a plant sim, potentially make a plant sim cult. That's just the life I'm envisioning for them, and we're gonna have to roll with it. Like, I actually kind of want to play this family now, because it sounds, like, kind of crazy. But, yeah, I could not get that idea out of my mind, so I had to, like, make it happen. One of the little things I like to do in these videos is occasionally show you guys snippets of my life, and boy do I have a treat for you. My grandmother sent us a home video of me as a 4-year-old child, and I put together a little compilation of me being an iconic 4-year-old for you guys.
You think she can do it, Dad?
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, hit the hole.
Watch what you're doing, hon.
1, 2, 3. Do a good thing. Oh, no. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. No, Tina. Happy birthday, dear Tina. Happy birthday to you. Okay.
Candles on.
Can
I call Mim, tell Mim all the stuff?
Love you.
Okay, that was the short little compilation, but I thought it was pretty iconic. It displays my incredible athletic ability that I've had, obviously, since the age of 4. It also displays my sensory issues with the whole covering ears thing when they were singing Happy Birthday. But I knew what I was doing. I had the little smirk on my face. Like, I knew I was being trouble. And it shows the fact that I don't like making phone calls, which, is still a thing, and I'm almost 30. So not a lot has changed, honestly. But I think that's fine. Why change a good thing? I mean, like, I've literally been playing The Sims 2 since, like, 2005, 2006. I don't tend to change things throughout my life. I don't switch things up. I stay comfortable, and I'm fine with that. I wanted to mention that those little arches you see on the deck of this build are actually wedding arches. I think they're a conversion from one of the expansion packs from The Sims 4. Somebody converted it into The Sims 2. And I really like it. I'm using it more as like a little maybe makeshift cover for the hammock. Like maybe they sometimes put the blankets up and they have shade so they can lay down in the hammock under the shade, but it's actually a wedding arch in the game, and I'm really excited about this object. Like, I think it's gorgeous, and I'm excited to potentially use it in my future Sims 2 weddings. I get so many people who are not aware that people actually like convert objects from The Sims 4 to The Sims 2, but it's actually like quite a big community of people who do that. And I actually love how Sims 4 items like transfer into The Sims 2. A lot of people are kind of against it too. Like, I really like Sims 4 hairs, and I love putting the Sims 4 hairs in my Sims 2 game, and I don't know, some people are against it. Some people think it clashes with their game, but I love how it looks in my game. But yeah, if you're wondering why my game looks kind of modern, it's partially because it's stealing stuff from modern games. I love downloading Sims 4 objects into The Sims 2. Oh, and I want to update you guys on my journey to get to the Eras tour, right? Since Taylor has announced a few shows in Canada, like, all the tickets got sold out pretty quickly. There's obviously, like, people reselling them, but, like, it's for, like, astronomical prices. So I was kind of, like, down in the dumps, like, saying, oh, I'm probably not going to be able to go, right? And then Avion Rewards said that they're gonna give out 50 pairs of tickets to the shows in, like, Toronto and Vancouver, whatever. So now I'm here, back in my clown era, thinking that there's a chance that I'm actually gonna get tickets. There's, like, no chance. Like, 50 pairs of tickets is nothing. And why would they choose, like, little old me from New Brunswick, Canada to go to the show, right? But there's still, like, a part of me that's like, yeah, I'm gonna get this ticket. It's gonna be wonderful. So, we'll see. Please send positive thoughts my way, because I need them, because I'm thinking I might be fired, and I'm sad I'm not getting Taylor Swift tickets. So I'm really going through it right now, and I need positive vibes. I'm, like, genuinely, like, one of the better workers at my work, too. So, like, there's no reason why they would let me go or fire me. But, like, my paranoid brain is, like, going through every little thing I did the past week at work and wondering if I did something that was unimpressive and warranted my firing, but I didn't do anything. So here I am, just working on the living room. I didn't really want to use, like, super modern furniture in this build. Like, I don't imagine that this family would use super modern stuff. Like, I imagine the parents are kind of older. They collected a bunch of things during their travels and adventures around the world, and they don't need new furniture. Like, they have plenty of regular old furniture. So that's the vibe I was kind of going for them. Maybe when their kid ages up and starts their plant sim commune, he might end up upgrading the furniture in the home. But then again, plant sims don't really need a bunch of things in their homes. So maybe the son would, like, actually just sell the home and, like, make his own little plant sim commune. Like, I feel like he'd want to be, like, a pure plant sim, not a plant sim that sits there and enjoys, like, things that normal sims enjoy. Like, he's not gonna go sit in front of a TV all that often. Like, he's too busy being a plant sim, reproducing, and being slightly problematic because he is excessive about it and obsessed with, like, expanding his species. But honestly, that's kind of like the Plant Sim lore anyways. I'm gonna literally open up the wiki and read you some things about Plant Sims because the lore is pretty crazy. Yeah, I'm not finding what I originally read about the Plant Sim lore actually, like, but I'm gonna try to explain it from my memory and how I interpreted it personally. I don't know if I saw it in a video or what, but basically, when a sim becomes a plant sim and they start like reproducing asexually, the babies start looking closer and closer to the ideal plant sim, which is like the plant sim that you all plant sims kind of like aspire to be. You know, they turn into little elves, and I don't know. I just feel like my sim like teenager kind of worships the ideal plant sim and wants to kind of like be the ideal plant sim and create more ideal plant sims is kind of culty, and I kind of like where the story is going for the sim that I haven't even made yet. I'm just really excited about the sim. Like, I kind of want to play this family. And yes, you could argue that this isn't technically lore. Like, you can put down your fingers and not lecture me on this one. Like, but it's how I'm interpreting it. The game needs ideal plant sims in order to, like, produce sim babies asexually. So that's how the game goes about doing it, but I like interpreting it as something, let me live my life, okay? Anyway, here I am working on the primary bedroom of the parents. I chose this like blue color because I think it just reminds me of something a sea captain would like. I guess navy blue and, sailing the seven seas, it makes sense in my head. I think it makes sense to most people because I feel like stereotypical like sea captains have navy uniforms, at least the ones I'm picturing in my head. And I felt like he'd want to, like, transfer the love for the color and, the profession into the bedroom. This is why I don't talk about the build, because that probably didn't make any sense. I'm listening back to it and I'm like, did that make sense? It kind of makes sense in my head, but like I also can see it not making sense. Like talking about the build just does not come naturally to me. Anyway, we're going to be finishing up the top two bedrooms in a moment here. Well, the first bedroom is technically an office. It's for the writer of the family. Obviously, the whole house is pretty much inspired by the sea captain, but I decided to give his partner like a little room to themselves so they can, work on their books in peace with their own, belongings surrounding them. I think they're okay with having their little private space upstairs, and they're okay with not having a lot of influence when it comes to decorating the rest of the house. They just want their own little private space upstairs to work on their art. But unfortunately, they had to like be next to their problematic plant sim loving child. But I feel like that's the price they're willing to pay. They love their kid. They kind of see that things are kind of going awry when it comes to how much this sim is obsessed with plant sims, but you can only control your almost adult child so much, they're trying to accept the kid for who they are. But yeah, I wanted the space to be kind of like girly, filled with like pinks and maybe some blues. I had a lot of fun decorating this office. Like normally I tend to make like plain beige offices, but I wanted this one to be fun and have some personality to it. So I think I did a good job at that. Like I said, as I was building this house, this family was like on the forefront of my mind. Like I initially went into this build going like, I have no idea who's gonna live here. But then like they became super vivid in my head, and like I even like can imagine the Sims in my head. Like I should literally just make them and play as them because like they are like real inside my head, and I can see myself having a lot of fun with this family. Thought about placing down the exercise bike, but I ended up deleting it because One, like, that bike kills Sims, and I don't want to be responsible for anyone's Sims dying. There is a fix to, like, make it so the bike doesn't kill your sim, but not everyone has that in their game or is aware of the glitch. So I decided to take the bike away, but I feel like it was kind of realistic to have that bike in the office. I like the idea of having it there. It's just I didn't want to kill anybody's Sims, so I decided against that. But yeah, if you didn't know, there's a glitch where your Sims will literally get on the bike and they will not get off the bike to take care of themselves. I've lost a couple Sims this way by not paying attention to them, and they basically like keep on biking until they die, and that is not ideal. I feel like most people who are playing the game in 2024 are aware of this glitch and, you know, would be mindful of it, but I'm paranoid that people would blame me for their Sims dying, so we're not going to include that bike in this build. Here I am just finishing up some little details on this build. I initially wanted to tackle the future Plant Sims room first, but I had a very specific item in mind for their room, and I realized I hadn't downloaded it yet, so I was just finishing up the other details of the house before I closed my game and went and grabbed the item I needed. And this item is basically pinup posters of supernatural Sims. So they're like literally posing as pinup models. And of course there's two Plant Sims, you know, posing in kind of like a provocative manner, and I thought it was perfect for this sim that's kind of like obsessed with Plant Sims, you know? Like, I think that's originally where I got the idea of this sim. I've been using this piece of CC for a couple years, and I realized that I didn't have it downloaded in my new, you know, iteration of the game. And as I was thinking of that, I was thinking, hey, wouldn't it be funny to maybe make this sim in the lake house obsessed with Plant Sims, and it just kind of took off from there. Anyway, we are getting towards the end of the build. I always include a couple screenshots at the end of the build. I feel like it gives a good feel about how the build looks, you know, during gameplay. So stick around for that. Like I said, this build is available on my Patreon. If you're interested in that, you can actually join my Patreon for free, and you'll be able to get notifications for whenever I post a new build. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more speed builds, and if you haven't already checked out my Sims 2 Legacy Challenge, I'm having a lot of fun with that, and would appreciate it if you gave it a chance. Sims 2 gameplay is fun, and I want to show it off to people, you know? But anyways, I hope you guys liked the video, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye, guys. Oh, I forgot to mention before I add any music and kind of like, you know, outro this video, I put greenhouse lights in the Sims bedroom. I thought it was a nice touch. Like, Plant Sims need light to survive, and this guy's aspiring to be a Plant Sim, so of course he needed greenhouse lights in the room. I debated, like, maybe putting the little, like, pot rack item that comes with the university expansion pack in this room. I thought that would be a nice little touch, but I didn't feel like downloading it to be able to use it in buy mode. If I had a sim on the slot, I would have definitely cheated my way into putting that item in this room. I think it'd be fitting. Maybe if I do play in this household, I'll do that. But yeah, I just wanted to add that little tidbit.